he must first stop running. Well, I'm going to say that one more time. God encounters Moses while he's running, but in order for Moses to experience God, he must stop running. And I hope you understand this, because God encounters a running Moses. And many of us are in the church, but we're running. But God say, I am here to encounter you, but I need you to now stop running in order for you to experience me. And so God encounters a running Moses. But now it is a stopping Moses who can now experience God. Oh, touch your neighbor and say, I'm ready to experience God on the day. And so Moses must stop to experience, because you cannot experience God if you're still running. So I got to take my shoes off, because now I am ready to now experience God in ways I have never experienced him before. But now I find it to be extremely fascinating, because now Moses' difficulties with his issues still seem to overwhelm him. He's in the presence of God, but still worried about his problems. And what I find to be interesting is that, watch this, Moses was bringing up his issues while God was only trying to deal with his purpose. Which means God is saying, I'm not concerned about all your problems. I'm trying to just move you into your purpose. But yet Moses was so defined by everyone else, to the point Moses said, God, I still got some problems. He said, take your shoes off, because now I'm trying to deal with you. And so Moses said that, he said, well, God, I'm going to stop running. But even though Moses stopped running, now he goes into hiding. And hiding is critical, because the same context in Genesis 3 and 6, when now Adam heard from Moses, is the same context we see right now. He hides from God the same way Adam did, because he feels like he is not qualified to be in God's presence. Oh, God, help me in this place. He feels like I cannot be in God's presence, which is why some of us say, I can't go to church. How in the world would God be a God of all love, God of agape, and say you can't come into my presence when you got some problems? Because see, I can't deal with my problems by myself. I can only deal with my issues when I come into the one who fixed the issues. So I have to come into the presence of God. So I can't get it right on the outside. I got to come into the house of the Lord, because God is going to do the work on the inside. But yet now Moses is so concerned about his problems, he's missing his purpose. God is trying to move him to greater, but he's still bringing up all of his issues. And so this thing is critical, because now Moses is hiding himself because of his internal conditions. And so he says now, then, if I'm not going to run, then I will hide, because I'm still a murderer. I'm not going to run, then I'm going to hide, because I am still disqualified and I am inferior. And I find that many times, after many of us have now stopped running, we are sitting in the church and hiding. I'm going to sit in the back, and I hope you don't ask me to do anything. I'm just going to peek in real quick, and then I'm just going to walk out. And so many of us are now in the church hiding. We try to hide in our seats. We try to hide in the back. We try to hide behind our issues. And a lot of times we may have stopped running, but now some of us have not yet stopped hiding. Because now while he feels unworthy to be in the presence of God, God now tells him, you are worthy, just take your shoes off. And when God's talking about taking off his shoes, he's literally meaning take off your running shoes, Moses, because you have been running enough. He don't literally mean take your shoes off. But he's saying to Moses, take off your running shoes, because all you have been doing is just running and running and running. And so he tells Moses, he said, now it's time to stop running and it's time to stop hiding. And so it is here what God encounters Moses to get him off the run. And I came to tell you today, God has now encountered us today, last week and on last year, simply because God is trying to get you to stop running. I have a greater purpose in store for you, but I first need you to just stop running. Because see, one thing I love about God is saying that if you just come out of hiding, then you can experience destiny. If you come out of hiding, then you can experience greatness. If you just come out of hiding, then you can experience your purpose. Because see, while God is trying to push him to now his purpose, Moses still said, I got some problems. Touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, is that you? Look at somebody across the room and say, neighbor, oh, you're a lot like Moses. And so he says to God then, he said, well, who am I to do this? He says to God then, well, what if they don't listen to me? Well, God, I'm powerless. God, I can't speak. Moses found every excuse about himself to now disqualify him from everything God said he was qualified for. What simply means is it's not the matter of God not saying I can't go to the next level. It's the matter of me not feeling qualified to go to the next level. And so I'm running just as Moses did. And so now Moses is battling with a damaged self-concept because he's struggling with now living within the parameters of how he has been defined while God is in the process of trying to redefine him. Oh, that's heavy right there. Because see, many of us are living within now a space of how everyone has defined us, while God is in the process of trying to redefine you. And so we find out many times we have a psychological war going on in how we feel. Because even when we talk about Moses is now battling based upon how he has traditionally viewed himself against how God is now trying to define him. Because as long as you live based upon how everyone else has seen you, then now you will never get to the place where God is trying to define you. So he tells Moses, if you just take off your shoes, I can move you into the next level. But watch this, as long as you live within this confinement of your past, you will continue to run. As long as you now make up in your mind, I'm going to live how everyone else has defined me, then I'm still going to continue to run. But if you live in how God is trying to now define you, then God said you can now stop running because it's time for you to come out of hiding. I got some great things in store for you, but I need you to come on out of hiding now. I know you tried to cover yourself, but stop running and hiding. You can simply come out now. And so God is now trying to call Moses out in order to call Moses in. Because Exodus is not just about calling you out as it is what God is trying to call you into. So God is saying this. He said, I have to call you out of yourself in order for me to call you into your purpose. I need to be called out. I need to be called out of everything on my mind. I need to be called out of everything I feel. So God got to call me out of myself to call me into my purpose. But he says you got to make a choice. Will I run and hide, or will I come out? Or look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, are you going to come out? And so coming out then is based upon self-esteem, because I cannot deal with where I see myself until I deal with how I see myself, and I cannot deal with how I see myself until I deal with how I feel about myself. And that's why another writer said this, and I quote, he said, the moment people discover who they truly are is the moment which their story takes on a new course, and because a new reality breaks into their lives which cannot be contained even by the cleverest of lies. In other words, when you know who you are, nobody else can define you. When you know who you are, nobody else can speak against you. He said, no matter how clever a person's lies are, your life takes on a new purpose because I know who I am. And that's why he said to Moses, when they want to know who sent you, you tell them this, I am that I am. I know who I am by the grace of God. Or give your neighbor a high five and say, neighbor, I know who I am. And so God deals with now his self-esteem by now calling Moses to now something he is naturally unqualified for. Oh, God, help me in this place. God will deal with your self-esteem by now causing you to operate in something you are naturally qualified for, but watch it, spiritually equipped for. And so now he called Moses to now deal with this self-esteem. He says, Moses, I know you are a murderer, but I still want to use you. I know you can't talk really well, but I still want to use you. I know you don't have a high position, Moses, but I still want to use you. Because I don't call the qualify, I qualify the call. So Moses, do all of your best, I still want to use you. Because I knew you were a mess when I called you. I knew you had some issues when I called you. I knew you had some hang-ups when I called you. So Moses, just come out of hiding so I can qualify you. It's time to stop running. It's time to stop hiding. Because I'm trying to do something great in your life. And so when I look at this thing, then guess what? I cannot experience him until I stop. And so he said, Moses, I just want you to come and just experience me. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's time to stop running. Oh, look at somebody across the room and say, neighbor, it's time to stop running. And so he says, I want you to stop running because I'm trying to bring you into recovery. Because Moses did not choose to encounter God. God chose to encounter Moses. And I came to tell somebody here on today, when you've been worried on your mind, I know you didn't choose to encounter God, but God told me to tell you, I choose to encounter you. But I first need you to stop running. Come on and talk to me, Mike. Let's have some church. I first need you to stop running. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's time to come out of hiding. Because God is calling you into the recovery room. Give your neighbor a high five and say, neighbor, God is ready to deal with you. So I know some of you has been wrestling in your mind. I know that some of you has been wrestling in your heart. You have been wrestling with everything everybody has said about you. But God told me to tell you, you are qualified. You are important. You are special. You are somebody. You can't let what everybody else said make you feel discouraged. You can't allow your naysayers to make you feel down. And so now this is the moment where God encounters Moses. And what I love about the text, Moses was called to be strong for everybody else. But it is here in this moment where God says to Moses, now you can be weak because now you're in the presence of God. I may be strong for all of you, but I can let my guard down when I get into the presence of God. I may try to be encouraged when I'm around you, but I can let it hang all down when I come into the presence of God. And that's why I heard Howard Thurman said, he said, in the presence of God, man is now relieved of all the feelings of pretending, and now he can stand clean in the presence of God. He can take off his mask because he is in the presence of God. He can take off his shame because there is nothing that cannot be dealt with here. So what am I trying to tell you? I know you're a mess. I know you got some issues. But God said, I can deal with all your sloppiness. I can deal with all your hang-ups because now you're in my presence. So I have called you to recover all. So it is in the presence of God that now I find relief because it is here what God says, I'm just going to cover you. I'm going to cover you through all your issues. I'm going to cover you when they talked about you. I'm going to cover you when they tried to put you down. So you don't have to run. But now it's time to come out. It's time to come out of hiding. So stop running. Stop hiding. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you've been chosen for such a time as this. So come out of hiding. I want you to encourage your neighbor and say, neighbor, you've been chosen for such a time as this. So come out of hiding. So I came, I feel it now, to encourage somebody, just to let you know God is concerned about your self-esteem. And this is the season where God is rewriting the script concerning your life. But take off your shoes and stop running. Take off your shoes and stand footed. That's why I heard Paul say, stand when you don't know what to do. Stand when you don't know how to work it out. Stand when you're trying to make it. You just gotta stand. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. I'm just gonna stand. No matter my issue, I'm just gonna stand. I spent all of my life trying to run, but now I've encountered God. And because I'm in his presence, I can become clean. Because God deals